everybody, and welcome back to Mel's Board Game Room. And I am doing my top 9 game of all the games that I've played in the month of July. So before we get into the games played, I'm just going to show you my stats. So I played 40 times of 31 different games. Actually, I did pretty good. I don't think I had any major kind of gaming event in July, so I'm pleased with these numbers. Now I'm excited for August because FallCon is coming up, so that's 3 days board game convention. So I'm also going to be live streaming from FallCon, so I'm sure that'll kind of interfere with some of the gaming, but should be great. So let's have a look at which games made the top 9 in the month of July. So in the number 9th position, I have, let's see, Towers of Hercules. So this is a game that I got sent to me just in the month of July, so a few weeks ago. I expected for it to be half the size as it was. I was so impressed actually with the components in the box and how it all came together. Let me show you the game a little bit. So you can see the box is open there and all the pieces fit in there. So it was kind of described to me as reverse Jenga. So you have cards that you'll be flipping over and the card will indicate how many pillars you can you can place. And sometimes it'll be in a specific pattern. Sometimes it's anywhere you want to put them. And it'll be like, there's a couple of 4 pillars, which is good. It's like, okay, this is going to be nice and sturdy. Or 3 pillars, 2 pillars, 1 pillar. 1 pillar makes me really nervous. There's also some text cards that gives you kind of special things you can do. As you're playing, there's 8 pillars that are in reserve. So if your towel combo, like it did here, it had all come down, you can rebuild using 4 of the pillars that are reserved. So then you rebuild your tower and you keep going. So it's not so unforgiving because I've only won this game once now. So if I didn't have any rebuild ability, I would have lost this game 100% of the time. So I think having that rebuild is very handy, and then you can kind of make some of the weaker floors a little bit stronger and hope. And honestly, I lose more than I won. I won once, but that was playing with my kid, and he's the one that put the winning layer on, and it toppled, and then he kind of lifted it, straightened it, then he did it again, and then it would have crashed on me. It wouldn't have been a win had I been playing by myself. But it was really interesting. I quite enjoy this one. It's super easy to get to the table. It's very simple to play. And what was really neat about it too is when I played with my son, we were going to play something else because I needed to take pictures of it. I was like, can we play this? I need pictures. And he's like, yeah, but Eddie, pull this. I was like, I want to play this first. Just the fact that he requested, this is my teenage kid. They don't, my teenage kids don't normally try to suggest we play games. So I was really excited that he wanted to, and this is one of the games that appealed for that. Now, in number 8 position for all the games played in July is Venn. Actually, this is the other game I wanted to play with my kid. This actually, if you live in Canada, this is one of those games that have been available at Dollarama for $5. So it's a steal of a deal. Now, before I got it, I had people comment about how horrible this game was. He's like, yeah, I'm not even worth the $5. And I was like, really? But for $5, I'm going to find out for myself. So I got this game and I personally really enjoyed it. And it was really cool. So you have 3 color plastic piece that you'll put down and it creates the Venn diagram. Now you have numbers from 1 to 12 on the side, and you'll have a bunch of words that are associated with it. And then you have the card that'll show 3 numbers, and those will represent the 3 words you're trying to get the other team or your teammates to guess. So 1 word is going to be associated to each color, and then you have all these cards, and there's a lot of cards, picture cards, and they're double-sided, so there's a lot to pick from. And you go and you place these picture clue cards onto your Venn diagram. Now, depending what your words are, and I can't remember what they were here. I think one was dark. I can't remember. But so whatever the thing is, you would put the picture depending on how many words you can relate that clue to. So if it was like one that had a door, it's like, okay, well, door. Oh, this one had face. And I remember because I had like this lemon with the face on it, and it fit for face and it fit for something else. So I kept putting it there. And so you put the clue to as many words as you think it'll associate with. So if it's only for one word, you're going to put it in the big portion of the circle. If you can combine two words with it, you're going to put it in between. Say, okay, well, this one kind of link these two words. And then if all three words apply, then you would put it smack in the middle. And you have to put a minimum of 3 cards before the other team can start guessing, or your team can start guessing. And then you can keep adding clues. And then at one point, they'll be like, okay, we think it's these 3 words. And then you get 1 point for every word they got correct. Now, we never got all 3 words correct, but often we got 1 or 2. So then we're like, hey, 1 point. Oh, okay, good, we got 2 points. And it was so interesting. I really enjoy this one. So obviously it's not for everybody. In fact, I know Lee would not like this one. But whoever had commented about how terrible a game this was also did not enjoy this one. But I thought it was so good. I really enjoyed it. Then in number 7 position for the month of July, I have Wandering Towers. So I had purchased this one. I had heard lots of good things. It actually made my top 9 memory game list on a podcast, if you follow that. And it was just a really interesting game. It was kind of, when it was explained to me, I kind of didn't fully understand how the game played, but you have all of these tiles in a circle, and you have the towers all around, and you have your meeples on top of the towers, and they'll be kind of spread out over there. Now, you're going to be playing cards that'll allow you to move your meeples, which are your wizards, or move a tower. Now, if you move a tower, you move everything that's above it and on it. So if you have towers that are stacked and you move the bottom tower, then any towers that are stacked above will also move over. If you ever cover up other wizards or your own wizards, if you ever cover up wizards, then you get to flip one of your potions over to the filled side. And the goal is to get all of your potions flipped over, as well as get all of your wizards into the black tower, because that one did drop in. But you need to get the wizard close and then land exactly into it. And every time a wizard lands in the black tower moves forward to the next location that has a shield symbol that has no wizards over there. So you would okay, I'm over here. So sometimes the black tower will be on top of a tower as well. And if you move that tower, it would move the black tower also. But it was interesting because there's a really strong memory element, because you got to remember, once your wizard starts getting covered, where are they? I lost mine all the time. I was like, I don't know where my last wizard is. And you're like, okay, is it here? You move the towers. Nope, it wasn't there. So it's neat. It was really interesting. I quite enjoyed this one. I've played it at 2 per players. I played it at 3, and then here I think we played it 5, and every time it was quite enjoyable. At the lower player count, you end up having more wizards, and at the lower player count, not as much. But there's so much to kind of to remember, and it was really neat. I really liked it. So that was my number 7. Wandering Towers. So then in number 6 position, I have Jaipur. Now, I had Jaipur before. I recently bought this copy, but I had a small, tiny travel edition. And I wanted to have the original game format, so I ended up buying this one. And Lee and I ended up playing it, and it's just a really neat game. It's like a set collection game. It's really simple and straightforward. You collect cards, so you have the option of picking up one card and it goes into your hand. Or you can take multiple cards, but then you need to replace it with cards of your own for what you've taken. Or you can just take all the camels and they go in your camel pile. Now, the benefit of camels, because they don't give you anything, but when you take multiple cards, you can replace them with camels. So that's the benefit of having the camels. It allows you to have multiple multiple cards without having to give up your own cards to fill the holes. And then when you have multiple cards of the same set, you can go and sell them to the market. Now you can sell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards or whatever. The more you're selling, the more tiles or tokens you're gonna take. So if I'm selling like 2 green cards, then I would take 2 green tokens. And the first one to get those tokens, the earlier tokens are worth more than the later tokens. So you kind of want to be first in line if you can to get those, because that's going to be more points. But if you're able to sell a larger set at once, you're going to get the larger set token. So if you sell 3, you get a 3 card token, then 4 card, 5 cards, and so on. So it makes sense to try to get 5 cards. But if you hold on to your cards too long to get to 5, you're going to miss out on the top tokens. So there's that to consider as well. And you do that until either you run out of cards in the deck or 3 of the tokens are gone. Then you tally up the points. Whoever have the most points gets the winning token for that round. And the winner of the game is whoever the first player to get 2 winning tokens. Really neat, very simple, but so satisfying to play. I highly recommend this game if you haven't played it yet. And that's Jaipur, my number 6. In number 5 position, it's actually a really old game. I bought this from a friend secondhand, and when I bought it and I opened it, everything was still in shrink, so it was like a brand new copy. But this one was published in 2010, and it's called Last Call, the Bartender game. And I bought this one blind, knowing nothing about this game for the components alone, because it comes with these big chunky plastic bottles with labels on it. You know, one has like vodka and one has gin or whatever. And then you get these cards that have the drinks recipes, and it shows you what you need to have. So for the drink recipe, like that one, you need a white bottle, a black bottle, and a green bottle. I can't read what the words are on there. So, but okay, I need these 3. So then you need to move the alcohol, like the bottles, from one bartender to another until one bartender has all the different bottles you need. Then you can complete your drink. But if they have extra bottles, which they easily can, you have to take an ice cube as a penalty. And they have actually like little white cubes that are clear. So you got to take an ice cube in penalty. But you can't just move the bottles willy-nilly. Like you have a card and you flip the card over and it'll have like the name of the bartender is like, okay, so Kathy's up. And then be like, oh, and then, I don't know, Fred is up. And I was like, so now that they're up, you can trade bottles between Kathy and Fred. But maybe that's not the combination you need. So you need to kind of, okay, now this one is up. And if there's ever a bartender that has 3 cards up in front of them, then you can trade to or from that bartender with anybody else, whether they have cards in front of them or not. And then you can move one bottle over, and then whoever got involved in that trade, when you do a bottle movement, you take all those cards away, that goes away, and then you start again. It's so cool. So after the move, anybody can complete a drink order if they want. Now, once one person has completed all 4 of their drink order, at that point, you put the bartender cards away, and you players, whoever's left, in this case, we were just 2 players when we played, then you can move one bottle over until you have all the combinations you need. But now, for every movement you have to do, at that point, you take 1 ice cube of, one ice cube token, or cube, which is a penalty for each movement you do. So you want to try to get as many of your drinks done as possible so you don't end up with tons of ice cube, because those are negative points. It was so cool. I was so impressed with this game. Like, it's very simple, but neat and fun, and the components, and it's an older game and I had never heard of it. Definitely has kind of like a party theme. Like, it's like the theme is, kind of party inducive, but the game is so interesting. I like this. And that's Last Call, the Bartender's game, my number 5. In number 4 position is Kero. Me and Patrick ended up playing Kero. And every time I play this game, I love it. So I fell in love with this game when I bought it because I bought it blind. I was at Gobfest at the flea market, and this was like the end. We were packing up, and this guy was like, "Hey, just take my games." And I was like, "Okay, I'll give you." I can't remember what I paid for it, 15 or something. He's like, "Yeah, sure." And I hadn't opened it or anything, and I got home and I was like, "Okay, what did I get?" So I opened it and I squealed out loud because there's these big tanker truck sand timers in this game, and that alone makes the game worthwhile. But the gameplay is so fun as well. So in Kero, like, it's a two-player game. You each have your little tanker truck, and they start filled. You have a bunch of kerosene, and you're trying to go out and you roll the dice. So when you go out, you put your tanker truck on the back and it uses fuel, and you roll the dice trying to get a combination of symbols to be able to acquire the different cards. So depending on what you're rolling, what you can activate. So once you've kind of got what you want, you put the tanker truck down so that you quit wasting fuel. And then it's like, okay, so I've got these two symbols and these two symbols. So I'm going to take this card and I'm going to add that, and it gives me access to an extra dice, or it gives me access to an extra symbol I always have, or something like that. You can also use a symbol to send your workers into these different areas. That's going to give you points at the end of the game. But that's area control. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go there. It's like, yeah, well, then I'm going to go there. Now, if it's a tie, when the scoring card comes up, nobody gets it. So you want to, try to have majority of influence in the different locations so you can get that card, because those are the end condition scoring cards that you're going to be adding. So you want to try to accumulate that. And then if you ever start running out of gas, you can spend one of your kerosene, like your tank, like your gas tank, to refill. So you would hold the tanker truck on its nose and it refills, but the other player has all the dice and they're rolling, and when they've rolled a fire symbol on all of them, you're done. So you try to roll as fast as you can so they can't fuel up as much as they could. Now, if in your regular roll you ever roll fire symbols, those kind of lock up your dice. It's fun. Oh my God, it's fun. It's real time. It's satisfying. I've played this, me and Patrick, actually. Most of the time has been me and Patrick. I've played it with Lee as well, but I really like this one. I found this one at a liquidation store, and I bought a bunch of copies, and I was gifting it to everybody for Christmas because that's such a good game, and it was like so cheap. I don't know why it ended up there. If you've played Kero, let me know what you think. I know personally, I love this game, and that's why it's my number 4. Now, my number 3 position for the games played in the month of July, and that is Unscrewed. So a friend of mine came over to my game day. He brought Unscrewed. It was the final copy of his game that he's designed, and we played it. Now, this wasn't my first time playing it. I had played it before, but this is one that is so, again, like, chaotic, and it's a programming game. So you play as a morning cartoon, like a 90s cartoon. It's your Saturday morning cartoon, but the network is only going to keep one, so you're kind of fighting to the death to be the cartoon that stays on the network. And it's it's so fun. Now, just so you know, this one just Kickstarted, actually. It went on Kickstarter on the 30th of July. It has fully funded, so it's going to be a thing. I was backer number 6. I was really hoping for number 1, but number 6. And I can't wait to get my own copies. But it was neat. So you have all these characters you can play as. When I played last time, I was Mosquito. And then you add your cards like face down as to what you think you want to do for your program, and you're trying to not die, and the other players could die. It's like, but there's so many things that's so interesting. You have like the bombs, you have anvils, you have these big giant fans that at the end of the round could push you or suck you, but if you ever land on it, it sends blood flying. So you put these little blood, and then blood is slippery, so if you ever step on blood or on oil, you'll keep going one extra space. But every round this thing shrinks, like the board shrinks and comes smaller and smaller, so it plays quick. Like 15 minutes, you're going to be done and you have a winner. Now, also what's kind of interesting is you can die and come back to life. And it's like you die, but it's your turn again. It's like, okay, good. And then you respawn and then you put yourself out there. So it's not like you're eliminated just sitting there watching. Although sitting there watching is entertaining. It is fun. but there is the opportunity and potential to be able to come back, and it's a 50-minute game, so it's quick. You're not sitting there a long time. And it's one of those that you can play multiple times. They have tons of maps. Like, the base game comes with 4 maps that are double-sided, so that's 8 maps. I know the first stretch goal is an extra map, and the other stretch goals coming up haven't been revealed yet, but I really enjoy that one. So Unscrewed was my number 3. In number 2 position this month is Scythe. I finally played Scythe. Can you believe I had not until this month played Scythe ever before? It just had not, the opportunity did not present itself. I did not own it. And I never had the chance to play it. Now, I did get to play Expedition last month and quite enjoyed that one, so I was curious about Scythe. I purchased My Little Scythe, and I went with the My Little Scythe version because I figured it'd be easier to get to the table with my family, or at the Acme Legion Day that I host, that would be a more crowd-pleasing and kind of easier to get to the table, mostly if they're non-gamers. So I do have My Little Scythe, which I haven't played yet. But we got to play Scythe, and it was very neat and so interesting. Now, I was yellow, and yellow was on the other side of the map, so I kept thinking I was red, but it was neat. Like, the area control portion of it, kind of getting around on the map, the different abilities you can unlock, and I very much enjoyed it. It's definitely one that I should play again to kind of get more comfortable with it. The components are so cool. Now, I don't think this one is a retail version, but I don't know how it differs from the retail version. But yeah, so it was really neat. I quite enjoyed it, and finally got to get Scythe to the table. Now, my number 1 position for the month of July is still Expedition. So there we know, like, between Scythe and Expedition, which one do you like best? I personally still preferred Expedition. I found Expedition was easier to learn and play, so easier to get going with it, but still had, a fair bit going on for you to kind of keep you interested in the strategies you're trying to do. You have, like, those big mech minis that you're going to be playing as, and you move those around on the board trying to get to the different location to activate the different actions. I found in Scythe, compared to Expedition, like, you still had to kind of move around, and it was a little harder to get to the locations on Scythe than it is on Expedition. But, like, thematic-wise, or how similar are they? They're completely different games. They do not play the same at all, except that you can see artwork-wise, kind of goal-wise, some of the stuff are similar. Mostly like with placing the stars, you kind of like trying to get certain goals accomplished. That portion is similar, but that's almost where the similarities end. This is a completely different game. Here's what my player board looked like. So you collect all these workers because it allows you to activate extra action you can do on the card, because it's like a deck building. But then with the cards that you accumulate, if you accomplish, you can kind of do a quest that you can accomplish, or you can refine the metal that you found, or you can kind of tuck in your items, but then they become part of your goals that you're trying to accomplish and will give you points, but also is no longer available in your deck, and then now you have less cards. And the action selection thing is really interesting, because first turn you can move, you can play a card, and you can activate a space. So there's the 3 things you can do. Now after that, you can do 2 of the other ones, like 2 of them. So I was like, okay, well then I'm going to move and activate a space. I'm not playing a card. So then that means the next time I have to play a card and do one of the other 2. So you're kind of moving things, and you kind of get a little bit limited as to what you can do until you can't play cards because you're out of cards. And then you can take a turn to reset. And you take all your cards, you put them back into the available side, and that takes a whole turn. But then the next turn you can do all 3 again. So it is very interesting. I really like this one. So Expedition is my number 1 for the month of July. It was actually my number 1 for the month of June as well. So here's the top 9 again. The games that made my top 9 for the month of July. I used Pub Meeple to do kind of figure out which one made the top. But here are all the games that I had played during the month of July, as well as these ones. So that's it for the games played in July. Be sure to follow us on Facebook. My Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. I also have an Instagram called Mel's_boardgame_room. I have a podcast that I do with my friend Carla called The Board Game Specialist. And of course, the YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be at FallCon and I'll have a booth set up to be able to live stream there. So be sure to stop by and say hi. Bye, everybody.